All right, welcome again, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. We're at 12:05. Again, happy Thursday. My name is Ra Shakir, and I serve as the Senior Manager for Outreach and Communications here with Foundation Communities. And again, we welcome you for today's webinar for our community partners. And we have titled this, Let's Talk Taxes. We are in peak season here at Foundation Communities with tax season. And as we approach the final 4 weeks, we wanted to just circle back with our community partners. And later on tonight at 6 p.m. with the general public, your clients, our previous clients, for any questions that folks may have or any obstacles preventing the community from scheduling an appointment to file your taxes for free. So thank you again for joining us. I am joined today by some of my colleagues at Foundation Communities. Today we have Gabriella Morty, Becca Alonso, and Jeanette Hergesell. We'll hear from each of them throughout the presentation today, just on some key tax information. Again, my name is Ra Shakir. All right, I do have some quick housekeeping and information. A quick overview of our objectives today. The purpose of today is to share information with our community partners so that you can share with your clients and your staff as a referral source to free tax prep and filing, something that we've been doing here at Foundation Communities for 19 years. So after today's presentation, hopefully you walk away understanding who needs to file taxes. If you have any questions from your community regarding that, we'll review some of the tax credits and the eligibility. That's something that we're definitely promoting this year. So many people leave money on the table for not knowing about tax credits. So we want to share that information with you so you can share with your audience. We'll discuss I-10 eligibility and mixed status family information, so that if that's a community that you're working with, you have that information to walk away with today and share. And then, of course, we want the community partners to understand how to connect clients to our free tax assistance and resources, how to schedule an appointment, what their filing options are this year. And then at the end of today's session, we'll have a brief question and answer segment for some of our tax experts on the line today. So if you have any questions that you want to put in front of them, either on behalf of your organization or behalf of a client, we'll have a couple of moments at the end of today's webinar to do so. All right, I mentioned some of those housekeeping information. So this is just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded. And we definitely will share this after today's presentation. For that reason, your microphone and camera have been disabled. So if you have questions, we have a couple of features today to help you ask those questions or provide those comments throughout the presentation. You can use the chat feature, which is to your right, and you can drop a chat to everyone. We do have Becca, our chat operator today, that's on standby for any support or any questions that you may have. Or you can use the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen. You can post your question using that feature, and that can give you anonymity or allow you to ask your question directly. We also want, definitely some engagement through today's presentation. So we encourage you to use reactions. So as we go along information, if you have a good understanding of that information or if it was helpful, we encourage you to use reactions. So we want to make sure that that feature is ready to go. So let's try it before we get kicked off. Just how are you feeling today? Tell me what your favorite reaction is. So let me see that right now to make sure that everyone's reaction feature is working. All right, would love to see those thumbs up from Jose, Gabriella. All right, there we go. Alexandra. All right, fantastic. It looks like we got some thumbs up in the chat and we are ready to go. So let's get started. All right. Well, first and foremost, hopefully you got this invitation because you are familiar with Foundation Communities or you are a partner already in some capacity. And so I just wanted to share a quick highlight about Foundation Communities. So for 30 years, our bread and butter has been the affordable housing arena. So we have over 25 affordable housing communities between here in the Austin area and North Dallas area. And so what stemmed from the affordable housing and our activity in that for the last 30 years has been additional support service programs. And what we like to call them are our Prosper programs. And so our Prosper programs, we have 4 programs that live within our Prosper centers. 2 of those centers, one in South Austin off of I-35 in Old Torf, and one in North Austin off of Airport near ACC Highlands campus. And from those 2 centers, we focus on 4 programs, really. Financial wellness is at the core of what we do. So that includes financial wellness coaching, budgeting programs and workshops. We also support higher education and financial aid planning, as well as career development planning through our College Hub. We also have healthcare and health coverage enrollment, and that is a year-long program as well. We focus on open enrollment during the fall, but health insurance and health coverage is something that we support year-round. And then the last one, which we're focused on today, of course, is our Prosper Tax Help program, where we support tax prep and filing, and we do it absolutely for free. So those are our those are our Prosper Center programs. If you want to know more information, we just dropped in our chat the website to learn a little bit more about our Prosper Centers and those programs. For all of our programs, we like to just reiterate through generous support and funding, all of our services are completely free. And we do have some income eligibility and restrictions. So we like everyone to know about that. So for individuals that earn less than $60,000 a year, all of our services are available for free for those individuals, and for households or families of 2 to 4 that earn less than $85,000 a year. Now, we definitely, heard from the community, and in 2022, we increased our income eligibility. And so our income eligibility increases $5,000 for every additional family member. So for instance, if you have a family of 5, that income eligibility limit would increase to $90,000 for your family of 5. And so we wanted to make sure that our programs and services were being responsive to the needs of the community. And so that's a little bit about our completely free services and the eligibility for potential clients. All right, so now we'll get into the core of why you're here today. Let's talk taxes. So again, our focus is on sharing some overview information on the tax process and how you can get, or how you or your clients, can get some additional help with our Prosper Tax Help program. So why should I file our taxes? This is one of our common questions that we receive. Why should I file taxes? So our first response is this is a a part of civic duty. There is a tax filing requirement for those that make a certain income or higher. There's also an opportunity in filing your taxes that you can claim a tax refund. And we know that that helps so many individuals and families with baseline or general support when it comes to having extra money for bills or groceries or household items. There's also, in order to receive that income, you have to know about tax credits. Again, later in the presentation, Gabby will be telling us about 2 tax credits that we're focused on and have received some grant funding to increase engagement, that more people know about those tax credits. And then why should I file? An important response there is to help with future immigration proceedings. So we'll share some information on I-10 and mixed status families and what you need to know about the tax process. All right, who is required to file a 2022 tax return? So we mentioned that there is an income threshold. So if you're single in the United States, you need to be making at least $12,950,000 for the year of 2022 to be required to file your tax return. If you're considered head of household, that income annual income limit is $19,400. And if you're married and filing jointly, combined income must be greater than $25,900. So those are just baseline requirements regarding who is required to file a 2022 tax return. All right, I wanted to kick it over to Gabriella Morty, who is one of our Prosper Tax Help project managers, who's going to tell us more about some of those tax credits that are important and that people are leaving money on the table, and why we want you and your clients to know about them today.
Thank you, Rob. Hi, hello, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you once again for being here. And just to piggyback off of what Rod just mentioned of the filing requirements, even for those individuals, clients that you serve, even if they have earned income below those income thresholds that require them to file taxes, they should still file a tax return in case there might be eligible for a tax credit refund. So even if you have a client who is single, who earned $10,000 last year, encourage them to file. They might be eligible for a credit that they might be missing out on. So what is tax credit? I just mentioned it. So a tax credit is a dollar for dollar the reduction of the income tax owed. What does that mean? So a tax credit can reduce the amount of tax money that you owe the IRS, or it can increase your tax refunds. So that means getting money back in your pocket through hopefully direct deposit. So tax credits. So what are the 2022 tax credits that we are focusing on that we really want your clients and you to be aware of? So the earned income tax credit is a tax credit for those who have earned income, as the name says it, and that could be a potential refund of up to $6,935 for those families who have children, 3 or more. It could be less if it's a smaller household. For those of you that did not file a tax return last year, I wanted to mention that for those of you or those of your clients who did not file a tax return last year, they can still claim credits for previous years. In the child tax credit, the amount that it could be claimed through this credit is $2,000 per child. We also stressing that those clients who have not filed taxes for the previous year, so they didn't file taxes in 2022 for the 2021 tax season, that child tax credit amount was expanded and could potentially bring more money to their pockets, up to $3,600 per child. And we're talking about the younger children. So, and then also, if clients have not filed in a couple of years, we can still help them claim those economic impact payments, the stimulus checks. So they have still time to come and get our assistance and help to get more money in their pockets. So let's move on to what is the eligibility for the Earned Income Tax Credit, the EITC. Once again, there must be an earned income in the household. So that means that you have worked in the previous year, you paid taxes, and that the money that you were paid, either you received it through wages, salaries, through tips, through W-2 forms. You also must have income, must not go over a certain threshold to be eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit. So we want to make sure that this credit is meant for those who are mid to low income earners who are potentially overpaying taxes. And this is really meant for them. They also have to, everyone on the tax return must have a Social Security number. So that means that the filer, the adults, or the couple and their dependent children or dependents must have a Social Security number. And you must also file a tax return in order to be able to receive this credit back, the Earned Income Tax Credits. If you are filing with a child, I do want to bring a little more clarity on that for the Earned Income Tax Credit. That child must meet a relationship criteria. That means that the child must have lived with you for more than 6 months out of the year. The child must be under the age of 19 by the end of last year. So by the end of December 31st, they must be under the age of 19, or they could be over that age and under 24 if they're full-time students. So those are the big requirements for the EITC. So how much money, the next slide right here, really just brings a graphic. I'm a visual person. So how much money could a family, a tax filer potentially get back by filing their taxes and claiming this credit? So I invite you to, like, for example, take your situation or a client that you know, you figure out how many children they have. Do they have 3 children or more? Maybe they don't have a child. What's their filing status? Single workers, their income must not exceed that second column to still be eligible to claim this credit. Or are they married with combined incomes less than the income limits on that third column? And then at the far right column, the E, this is the amount they could potentially get back through the Earned Income Tax Credit after they file their taxes. So this is just a visual representation of how much money is at stake through the Earned Income Tax Credit. And the expended, so this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and it brings me a lot of energy and excitement, the 2021 expended Earned Income Tax Credit. So these are the amounts. As a response to the pandemic, Congress expanded the Earned Income Tax Credit in 2021 to bring more relief to more individuals. So for 2021, they increased the amount from the $542 that you can get back if you're a single individual with no dependent children to $1,502. There's also, they widened the age eligibility temporarily to allow more younger adults and older adults to claim this credit. So that's a big change that was put into place just temporarily, but still that means that more people who have not filed their taxes in the last year could benefit by claiming this credit after filing their taxes. And if an individual and a family has not yet filed in 2021, they can still claim this credit up to 2024. So we're going to keep repeating this, like there's still time, they can still claim it if they have not filed their taxes in a couple of years. So and the reason why we talk about this is because we are very proud to announce that this year we partnered up with, we received grant funding from AARP Foundation in order to reach that demographic group. These are single individuals who are older, above the age of 50, who might be missing out on the expended 2021 EITC amounts. So we want to really highlight that if you work with older adults, could be a 50-year-old single individual, also a 50-year-old mother caring for her, for a single mother caring for her older mother, and also caring for younger children, they can still be eligible for this expended EITC amount. So we are heavily focusing and reminding and letting the community know about this expended EITC and how it also could potentially be life-changing for our older community members. So I talked about the earned income tax credit, and we discussed the eligibility requirements. Now let's move over into the child tax credit. So this, as it states, as the name states, the child tax credit is for those filers who have children who are their dependents. In order to qualify for this credit, you must earn more than $2,500 in 2022. So if you made, in 2022, you earned $5,000. It's below the income threshold requirement for filing, but you're potentially already eligible to see if you're eligible for a tax credit through the CTC refund. You and your spouse, if you're filing jointly, need to have a social security number or an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN. So this is the big difference. So for the EITC, everyone on the filing tax return had to have a social security number to be eligible. But for the child tax credit, the adults who are filing, either single head of household or head of household or married filing jointly, they can either have social security number or an ITIN number. But the other thing is the children who are their dependents must have social security numbers. So really what this means is this is an important credit that can really be impactful for our clients who are mixed status households. And this is a potentially big credit that can boost household income. You must also, like I said previously, if you have a qualifying child, they must meet a criteria to be a qualifying child. Excuse me. This means that the child must be a son, daughter, grandchild, stepchild, or adopted child, a younger sibling, step sibling, a child who's been placed through foster care system in your household. The child for the child tax credit must be under the age of 16 at the end of 2022. So by December 31st, 2022, the child must have been under the age of 16. The child must have lived with that filer in the US for more than half of the year. So it doesn't have to be continuous 6 months, but it has to be a total of 6 months out of the year. And lastly, in order to claim the child tax credit, filers must file their taxes and then potentially get this credit. So how much can they potentially get through filing and claiming the child tax credits? So this is a recap of the age requirement. They must be under the age of 16. They could potentially get $2,000 per child. 1,500 of those $2,000 are actually refundable. That means, let's say, for example, there's a household, a single parent who has a child, and they owe the IRS $500 in tax. And they're also eligible for the CTC. So then the $500 would balance that, will reduce the amount they owe the IRS, and the remaining $1,500 can actually be paid out in a check or direct deposit to the filer. So only $1,500 of the $2,000 are actually fundable, but that's still a good portion of assistance. And then once again, the income requirement in order to be eligible for this credit is that you must earn more than $2,500 to qualify for this credit. So Another thing that I like to highlight, and it's my favorite thing to talk about, is the expanded child tax credit. And this is the one that, as again, Congress expanded as a response to the pandemic and provided more financial relief to families with children when they needed it the most. So for this credit, families could get up to $3,600 for the younger children. So that means younger, when they were younger, had to have been younger, under the age of 5. For the older children, those who were between the age of 6 and 17, they could get up to $3,000 per child. There was no earned income requirement. So that's one of the things that was expanded. They did away during the 2021 expansion, just to provide more relief to more families. The credit is fully refundable. So in 2021, that means that if a taxpayer did not owe the IRS any taxes amounts, that filer could potentially get the full $2,000 back as a refund direct deposit check, providing more relief to families. And once again, if families that you're working with, families members that you know have not filed their taxes in a few years, either because filing taxes could be potentially expensive for their household, remind them, let them know that they still have time to file this. But if they need this additional income boost, get to it, file this year, and we'll help you file a couple of years of tax returns, 2021, 2022. We're here to support with that benefit service. So how much money is at stake? So here's an example just to put it into perspective. This is an example of a parent, a single parent who earns $27,000 a year. This parent has 3 children, ages 3, 7, and 11. Potentially, this parent can get back $6,935 in the earned income tax credit, $6,000 through the child tax credit. And if they didn't file tax, so if they don't file taxes this year, they're potentially leaving behind on the table, unclaimed, $12,935. That's a big potential financial boost for families right now. And let's say in this scenario, this parent didn't file last year because maybe they were unemployed due to the pandemic. So now they haven't filed taxes in 2021, haven't filed taxes for 2022. This family, this household right here can receive an additional $9,600 through the expanded child tax credit. So that's a lot of money that they could potentially be leaving on the table. And could be very impactful for their household. That's $22,000 plus some extra just that they can get back by filing their taxes with Foundation Communities. So how can Foundation Communities help? Rob, I'll push it back to you.
Thank you so much, Gabby. I love it when Gabby shares about these tax credits. Again, that's one of our focus with the Prosper Tax Help team. So many Central Texans are leaving these unclaimed dollars on the table, and dollars that can really provide that financial boost to families who may need relief the most. So thank you for sharing that information about tax credits. So as in regards to how Foundation Communities can help, here's just a list of some of the services that we provide through our Prosper Tax Help program. So not only do we prepare and file the current tax returns, Gabby mentioned we will help file previous years, so without judgment. So if you have been a non-filer from previous years, please reach out to us and we can help you take care of that. We also support the I-10 applications and renewals, tax amendments, and responding to those complicated IRS letters. So if you have, if you or your clients need some guidance, some direction, some support with any of these things, these are just some of the ways that Foundation Communities can help. In regards to our Prosper Tax Help program, I mentioned a little earlier in the presentation, we've been doing this for 19 seasons. So these are IRS trained and certified tax experts and professionals helping, provide insights to some questions and support to what could be pretty complicated tax scenarios. So as I mentioned, our services are always free, high quality tax prep services. We are very proud of our strong bilingual staff, not only providing support in Spanish, but we also provide support for American Sign Language and additional languages as well. We talked about this a little bit earlier as well, but right now we are in peak tax season as the tax deadline is quickly approaching on April 18th. However, we provide tax support to several of those services in a year-round capacity at our 2 locations at Prosper South and Prosper North as well. This year, we were proud beyond those Prosper South and North locations. We were proud to partner with some other community locations to offer a convenient location near you, near your organization, near your clients. Those additional locations are at the Wells Branch Recreation Center up north. That's number 1 on this map. Number 2, also up north, our Round Rock Serving Center. We've always had some type of presence in the Round Rock and Pflugerville area, so you can visit that Round Rock Serving Center if that's convenient for you or your clients. And then the additional location is on the southeast, in Southeast Austin at the Southeast Health and Wellness Center at 2901 Montopolis. So that's a pretty popular tax site as well. And then again, you have our 2 Prosper Center locations, north and south, listed on that map. So this year, we've definitely been promoting. We expected a great turnout, not only from returning clients, but from new clients as well, learning about our free tax service. And so this year, we've definitely been encouraging community partners to urge their clients to schedule an appointment. This year, our in-person services are appointment-based only. So that in-person tax help, we have a QR code here that will take you directly to our prospertaxhelp.org website, where it takes literally 2 minutes to schedule an appointment this year. So we just need some basic information. You identify the location out of those 5 that are going to work or most convenient for you. We have a couple of date and time options for those appointments, and you provide your email and phone contact information for that appointment record, and that's it. It's that easy, that quick to schedule an appointment for taxes and tax filing in person this year. You can also call 211, one of our trusted partners, to contact them, and they'll schedule an appointment with you over the phone. Additional filing options online if you are confident in some capacity of the tax filing process. You can fill out your intake form and a portion of that process online from the comfort of your home using getyourrefund.org/FC, and that's one of our partners. So you'll do a portion of your tax filing process online, and then you'll complete the tax filing process in person with one of our IRS certified tax preparers. And so that's been a trusted process for some of our clients. So we definitely wanted to share and provide that as an option this year. And then our last filing option is our self-prep, self-paced and self-prep option. So if you have, we encourage this for simple tax returns in which the tax preparer is computers or technology savvy. So if you're comfortable with that, we have our myfreetaxes.com option for those self-pace and self-prep tax filing. So those are our 3 options this year that we are sharing. In-person tax prep, again, appointment only. We encourage folks that are interested in filing taxes in person to schedule that appointment today. Those appointments get filled up pretty quickly, and we're anticipating that the last 2 weeks ahead of that April 18th deadline are going to be filled up with those appointments. So we're encouraging folks to schedule an appointment now. All right, in preparation for that tax filing appointment, it's important to understand what your needs so that your process runs smoothly. So some of the information that you'll need in your tax prep appointment: your valid photo ID for you and your spouse, especially if you're filing married or jointly. Both spouses must be present with that valid photo ID. We'll also need Social Security numbers or ITIN letters for everyone that is included on the tax refund. We also need important tax documents like your W-2 or your 1099, or if you received health insurance by way of the marketplace, your 1095A, and additional tax documents that show your earnings or anything else that you want to report. We'll also need your bank information and then any documentation of personal expenses. So whether that be for education, any medical expenses, charitable donations, or childcare related expenses. Please have those documents collected and bring those to your tax filing appointment. All right, some information on what to expect during one of your appointments. So as we mentioned earlier, preparation is so important this year. Schedule your appointment by calling 211 or visiting prospertaxhelp.org to schedule your appointment. Then the next step is an intake process, and that's in which our intake specialist will conduct a short interview. You can complete that information in advance. They'll review your documents to ensure you're ready for the next step, which is tax preparation. During the tax prep and file stage, an IRS certified tax preparer will prepare your return, and then there will be a review by another tax preparer for accuracy. We can electronically file the tax return and submit it to the IRS, or we can provide a copy directly to that client so they can mail at their convenience. And then the last step that we offer in that process is just to support a continuum of care. If you have any questions, our inquiry form is available on prospertaxhelp.org, where you can submit any questions, and we're quick to respond to those questions. All right, I'm going to shoot it back over to Gabby to share briefly about our ITIN support services and what you need to know about that information.
Okay, thanks. So the ITIN, so once again, that stands for the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number, ITIN. We are a certified acceptance agent. This means that by using our services to either apply or renew for an ITIN, it does not require for the tax filer, your client, to leave their original documents or to mail in the original documents in order to process this. That means that they can come in here with their own, sometimes their only source identification, a passport from their home country, or whatever ID they might have, and we will verify that it is meets the requirements to file, and we will submit it and upload it electronically in the secure software. So that's what that means. We are trained and we are very knowledgeable around the process. ITINs, what the ITINs do, it's a number that's issued by the IRS for tax filing purpose only. So I do want to stress that since we get questions about does the ITIN give me access to other benefits, credits? It does not. That's the main purpose of an ITIN. you have earned income, you've contributed to the economy, and you need to just make sure you're reporting accurately what you're earning and contributing back to the economy. So it's part of being proving good moral character and a civic duty. So an I-10, I do want to stress, an I-10 does not authorize work in the U.S. An I-10 does not provide eligibility for Social Security benefits. It does not qualify dependents for earned income tax credit purposes. So, and I put these here because we get these questions quite often in the community. And then in the last column, it talks about which items need to be renewed. So maybe you're dealing with a client who it says, oh yeah, I do have an I-10. I might be potentially eligible for the child tax credit because you brought it up to my attention, but I haven't filed taxes in a few years. Well, this information here just reminds filers who might have an I-10 of whether they need to be renewed or whether it's active. So I won't read through all of it, but it just provides the information of the I-10 digit numbers that need to be renewed. And there's this presentation will be shared, so you can definitely reference this back or send them back to us. They can contact us to find out more about which I-10s need to be renewed if they already had previous number issued. So what does the I-10 application and renewal process look like? So like I said, the purpose of I-10 is to report income, earned income. So the first step is for a client that you're helping, serving a filer to complete a tax return. So they have to make an appointment, bring all their documents, all their earned income, and complete a tax return with one of our IRS certified preparers. Then what we do afterwards is we do an internal referral to our IRS I-10 team. And within about a week's, 2 weeks time max, we will reach out to them and say, hey, we received this referral for this program service, and we'll schedule a separate appointment with them in order to complete the process with them, the application, answer those questions that they might have. And then we will, once that has been completed, we will simultaneously submit both of those, the tax return that was filed previously and the I-10 application with all of the documentation required. So those go in simultaneously. So going back to tax credits and eligibility about tax credits for I-10 filers. So mixed status households are eligible for some common tax credits. And I'm highlighting this because one of the tax credits that they're not eligible for is the earned income tax credit. If you recall, in order for eligibility for that credit, all household members need to have a Social Security number, but that doesn't mean that they might be not eligible for other ones. There are other credits they can get money back from, like the child tax credit, the child independent care credit, and some of the economic impact payments, the stimulus checks. So if they haven't filed, they could potentially also get some of this financial assistance for their children and help out with those costs of raising children. Okay, so with all of this, now we want to move over to our Q&A section and answer some of these questions we've received. And Rob.
Yes. Thank you so much again, Gabby. We're going to invite our colleague Janet to join us. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat or use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions. This year we committed to our kind of model for Prosper Tax Help to be save money, don't stress, file for free. That is the support that we want to make sure that you as the community partner know is available to you and your clients. To support that, we've created a toolkit with some information that makes it easy for you to share both nice to know and need to know information about this year's tax season and how Prosper Tax Help can support different tax services or questions that you may have. So I wanted to Again, invite Janet. We also have Becca. Becca, are there any questions in the chat from our group today?
Hi, everyone. Yes, there is a question from Jose. He asks, can you help individuals who own a business to file their taxes?
Yeah, I saw that question.
Awesome.
I'll go ahead and answer that one. That's a great question. We do get that a lot. The short answer there is yes. We do help people who have their own businesses file taxes. Being a tax person, let me just give you a little bit more detail, a couple caveats there. We can assist people whose businesses are reflected fully and totally inclusively on their tax return on a Schedule C. So I'm not sure if this is too much detail for you, but if you have a business that you report on a separate business return, like a partnership or an S Corp or something like that, we cannot do that business return. And if you're issued a K-1 from that separate business return, then we have limitations to whether we can prepare your individual return with that K-1. But then again, to reiterate, the vast majority of people that we see, they have their own businesses and they are fully reported on their Schedule C, and usually we can assist in those cases.
Awesome. And we do have another question. Someone asks, where can we find the toolkit you mentioned? I think this is something Ra and Gabby can take on.
Yeah, so we have access to some of our program flyers directly on our website for your convenience. However, if you are interested in receiving the toolkit directly, we can share that with you. Please make sure that we have your email and we can get that in your inbox later today.
All right, and next we have a question from Gabriella. If a client made less than $12,950 in 2022 and a 17-year-old foster youth, are they required to file or should they file anyway?
Okay, I can answer that one. Generally speaking, if someone had wage income, like W-2 income that was under that threshold, generally they don't have a requirement to file. Again, tax person here with a couple caveats. If they had self-employment income, the threshold is actually much lower. It's $400. So if they had any kind of contract, freelance, self-employment work, and it was their net profit was more than $400, then they do have a requirement to file. There are a couple other situations in which they might have a requirement, and I honestly couldn't tell you off the top of my head for specifically a foster youth who's 17, if there's additional requirement there. I have to look that one up. But I would say it's possible they don't have a requirement to file, and whether they should file definitely depends on the amount of income, if there's any withholding, if they had a W-2. So I think my general answer to people is, why not just come and see us, where we'd be happy to prepare it and let you know, here's your outcome, or ultimately you do not have a requirement. So it's up to you whether you want to file that.
And those are all the questions I have now.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I thank everyone for your time today. Any final questions can go to the inquiry form at prospertaxhelp.org. Our outreach team can be found at outreach@foundcom.org, or you can always find us on social media, like follow or share our content, our Instagram at Prosper Centers, and our Facebook, facebook.com/Prosper Centers. Thank you again for joining us today to learn a little bit more and to talk taxes. And we look forward to continuing to connect with you and being a referral service for you, your clients, and your staff for taxes. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll talk soon. We'll be sharing this out by the end of the week.